It was just an escape for me. You have all these people around me just kind of hanging on, wanting stuff from me, knowing that, like, I was living this lifestyle that they also wanted to live, drinking, smoking.
Okay, so by now, most of us know Justin Bieber didn't exactly have a fairy tale rise to fame. Sure, he had the money, the fans, the hit songs, but behind the scenes, things were a lot darker than they seemed. Over the years, little bits and pieces have come out about the people who got a little too close to Justin when he was still just a kid. And now, it looks like Justin is ready to really speak up. We're talking big names here, like Diddy, Will Smith, and Clive Davis. These were grown adults in powerful positions who, instead of guiding him or looking out for him, might have used him or pushed him into situations he just wasn't ready for. You know, the kind of stuff no teenager should be dealing with. And it's wild, because at the time, no one really knew what was going on. Justin has quietly dropped hints over the years about being misguided, about having major trust issues, and even turning to drugs to cope with all the trauma. He said himself that he still struggles with PTSD from everything he went through back then. Now, fans are buzzing because it seems like Justin is finally exposing the list of celebrities who seriously let him down, or worse. And honestly, it's heartbreaking, but also kind of powerful. He's taking his story back. Let's get into it. Now, JB isn't the first person to come out and speak about what he went through.
Then I get there and I'm like a broken shell of myself with this relationship that threatened to sort of like truly like wreck my life, and I had done nothing to deserve that. And, I'm like, what is life? Like, what, I'm so backwards.
At one point recently, when news broke that Diddy was facing serious legal trouble and had been taken into custody, it seemed to shake something deep in Justin Bieber. Even though years had passed since their connection, the impact clearly hadn't gone away. Sources close to Justin began noticing a shift. He wasn't himself. He started isolating, acting erratically, and, according to some insiders, even spiraling back into old habits. There were reports that he began using again, struggling with anxiety and experiencing what looked like emotional breakdowns. For fans who have followed Justin's journey closely, it was heartbreaking, but not totally surprising. His past with Diddy, which once looked like mentorship on the surface, has taken on a much darker tone in the wake of the allegations now surrounding the music mogul. And even though Justin hasn't spoken publicly about what happened, those close to him say the pain is still there. And to show that, he's been doing a lot of cryptic stuff lately. Recently, he uploaded a video of himself eating a slice of pizza as Diddy ex Cassie took the stand, which has led fans to assume that Justin was sending a message. A famous journalist and Pizzagate chief Liz Crokin said that the video looks like it was taken from a surveillance camera. You know, like the cameras Diddy used to tape freak-off parties for blackmail purposes. One source even mentioned that Justin's wife, Haley, had grown deeply concerned about him. She'd seen the progress he made over the years, getting sober, finding peace, building a family, and watching him unravel again was terrifying. She was worried not just for his mental health, but for his safety, knowing how much of that past he's kept buried and how hard it must be to relive it all with Diddy's name constantly in the headlines. And people close to him are really talking about it now. The last thing Justin wants to do is relive or even discuss his complicated friendship with Diddy. An insider shared about Bieber, who has dealt with issues like drug addiction, suicidal thoughts, and several public breakdowns. But he's finally breaking his silence to his friends about his nightmare experience and the private hell it's caused him. Here's the thing. Hollywood has always had a certain shine on the surface. The glam, the fame, the A-list parties, it all looks like a dream from the outside. But if you peel back the layers, especially when it comes to how some young stars are treated, a very different picture starts to appear. There's a long-standing pattern of powerful people in the industry using that influence in ways that are, let's just say, questionable at best. We've heard stories for years. It's not just about being tough managers or strict mentors. It's about crossing lines, getting too personal, and putting young, impressionable artists in situations they were never ready for, emotionally, mentally, or otherwise. These kids, often barely out of their teens, come into the spotlight full of potential, and before they know it, they're being pulled into circles where the vibe is way off and the support they need just isn't there. Take someone like Diddy, for example. People have been raising eyebrows about his behavior with rising talent for a while now. He's often positioned himself as a mentor or a gatekeeper to success, but now, more and more, it seems like he might have been more focused on control than guidance.
Just So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
Signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you wanna do? What you wanna do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang with some girls.
Man after my heart. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, sources close to Bieber have stated the Peaches hitmaker has no involvement with the musician. The Insider told US Weekly in 2024, Justin is in a hard place mentally right now. Another source revealed he has such a history with Diddy, and the allegations against him have been hard to process. And he's not alone. Names like Will Smith and Clive Davis have also come up in these conversations, not just as industry legends, but as people who may have blurred the lines between helping and harming. What makes it worse is how these powerful figures manage to keep up their clean public image. They show up at award shows, drop inspirational quotes, pose for magazine covers, all while the people they affected are left with real emotional scars. Some of these young stars, like Justin Bieber, have spoken out, little by little, about how badly they were impacted. The pressure, the fear, the loss of trust, and the ways they tried to cope, including turning to substances just to numb the pain. It's sad and frustrating, because for a long time, no one really listened. But now, that's finally starting to change. These stories are coming out, and even though it's painful, it's powerful, because calling out what went wrong is the first step in making sure it doesn't happen again, because JB went through a lot. Back in 2014, Justin Bieber was everywhere, and not always for the best reasons. Headlines were full of stories painting him as this wild, out-of-control teen idol. He was called a rebel, a mess, and pretty much written off as another child star who couldn't handle fame. Fans got tired. The media dragged him daily, and a lot of people turned their backs on him without ever stopping to ask what was really going on behind the scenes. Now fast forward to today, and things are looking a lot different. As serious allegations stack up against Sean P. Diddy Combs, people have started to revisit Justin's old relationships, especially his connection with Diddy. Back then, it might have seemed like just another celebrity mentorship. But in hindsight, it's raising some real red flags. Justin was just a kid. Diddy was a grown man with enormous power in the industry. And now, fans are asking the hard questions they didn't think to ask 10 years ago. It really makes you think. Were we too quick to judge him? Here was this teenager thrown into a world that most adults wouldn't even know how to navigate, surrounded by people who may not have had his best interests at heart. Maybe that so-called rebellion wasn't just about fame going to his head. Maybe it was about a kid acting out because he didn't know how to process everything happening around him. Looking back, it's clear now that what Justin needed wasn't shame or headlines calling him a bad role model. What he needed was help, protection, and support. And the fact that he got the opposite, that says more about the adults around him and the culture we live in than it does about him. Justin Bieber's rise to fame wasn't just fast, it was lightning speed. One minute he was posting videos on YouTube, and the next, he was in studio sessions with Usher and signing record deals with RBMG. He was only 14, still a kid, and suddenly living a life most people can't even imagine. With hit after hit and a fan base that grew by the second, it didn't take long before he was rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest names in music, including P. Diddy. But now, years later, those early moments are being re-examined. Old videos of Justin and Diddy have started making the rounds again online, and fans are looking at them with a different lens. What once seemed like harmless mentorship now feels a little off. People are pointing to the way Justin acted in those clips, the things he said, even the lyrics in his music, and asking if there was something deeper going on beneath the surface. One fan on X, formerly Twitter, put it plainly, "Hollywood did you so wrong. Keep ya head up high. This darkness is coming to light, and honestly, that sentiment seems to echo how a lot of longtime fans are feeling right now. They're not just looking back at Justin's success, they're looking at the cost of that success and how the adults around him may have failed to protect him when it mattered most. An old clip of P. Diddy and Justin Bieber has been making the rounds online again, and this time, it's hitting very differently. In the video, Diddy is talking to the camera about spending a full 48 hours with a then 15-year-old Justin. He's having 48 hours with Diddy, he says. What we're doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I've been given custody of him. He even jokes about not having legal guardianship, but adds, for the next 48 hours, he's with me, and we're gonna go buck fool crazy. The whole thing feels off, especially now, with serious allegations against Diddy surfacing. The clip was actually posted by Justin himself on his YouTube channel, and it's still up today, which only adds to the unease fans are feeling.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time you
Right
come
here?
to LA. Yeah, this will be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, go get the front shot.
Man.
Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, you come down there, you gotta, you know, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right, 16.
You're not ready.
16.
Let's slow
All right.
down. Let's slow down, Justin.
Okay.
Let's slow down, okay?
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when you get 16. You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah. And then when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are we also now?
And that's not the only moment being revisited. Another video shows Diddy handing Justin a bottle on his birthday, and Justin kneeling to drink from it as a woman yells, "Happy birthday, Justin!" It's moments like these that have fans questioning what really went on behind the scenes during Justin's early years in the spotlight, and whether anyone was truly looking out for him. Then there's that now viral clip from a 2014 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, a scene that probably didn't raise many eyebrows back then, but today, it's a totally different story. Khloe Kardashian is casually chatting with her sister Kourtney about one of the wild Hollywood parties she'd just come back from. She says, "I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Well, this party, I think half the people there were butt naked. The tone is light, playful, like she's just recalling another night out. But then she starts name-dropping the guest list. Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber."
So who was with you this weekend? A bunch of my friends. Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber, so far French so good. Montana. Do you even know half the people you're naming? No. She didn't go to bed. I haven't been to bed yet. You haven't? I want to be Clay when I grow up, Court. I got on a plane at 5:30 a.m. Go to this party. I think half the people there were butt naked.
It's that last name that's really making people stop and rewind. Justin would have been just 19 at the time, barely an adult, and already wrapped up in scenes that, let's be real, sound more like something out of a grown-up's late-night fantasy than a teen star's weekend. At the time, the moment flew under the radar. It seemed like just another peek into the chaotic, larger-than-life world of celebrities. But with everything that's coming out now, the lawsuits, the accusations, the questions about Diddy's influence and past behavior, people are looking back at that clip with fresh eyes. And it doesn't feel so harmless anymore. Now fans are asking, why was a young Justin being brought into these kinds of environments? Who was really looking out for him? And how many other moments like this flew under the radar while everyone was too distracted by his bad boy image to ask the real questions? It's not just about one party anymore. It's about a pattern, a bigger picture that's only now starting to come into focus. In the early days of Justin Bieber's fame, P. Diddy was clearly in the picture, whether it was through industry connections like their mutual relationship with Usher, or a genuine interest in mentoring young talent. Diddy seemed to have some level of involvement in Justin's life. Photos, videos, and interviews from that era show them hanging out, with Diddy even boasting in one clip about spending 48 hours with the then 15-year-old pop star. But as time went on, things seemed to shift. One clip that's been making the rounds again shows a much older, more grown-up Justin, running into Diddy years later. The interaction is awkward, to say the least. They shake hands, and Justin keeps it brief, saying he's all good. Diddy, trying to keep the conversation going, asks again, "Everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything?" He can then be heard saying, "Starting to act different. You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out." There's a tension in that moment, a kind of distance that makes people wonder what really went down between them. Fans have been pointing out how different Justin's body language is compared to the earlier clips, where he seemed more eager, more trusting. Now, he's calm, polite, but guarded. And given the serious allegations Diddy is facing today, that interaction hits differently. People are starting to question whether Justin's quiet distancing wasn't just coincidence, but maybe a sign he saw something or experienced something that made him step away. What was once written off as just another celebrity mentorship is now being viewed with a lot more scrutiny. This isn't the first time Justin's struggles with his past have come into the spotlight. Recently, something pretty unexpected started making waves on TikTok. A mysterious audio clip of Justin singing about P. Diddy. In the clip, he's singing lines like, "Lost myself at a Diddy party. I was in it for a new Ferrari, but it cost me way more than my soul." It's raw, emotional, and feels really personal. The strange thing, this song doesn't officially exist. There's no release, no leak, nothing in his discography. Most people think it might actually be AI generated, but honestly, it still hits hard because it echoes so much of what fans and insiders have been saying about his past for years. Looking at Justin's actual music, Lonely is probably the most heartfelt and revealing track he's ever put out. In it, he sings, "Everybody saw me sick, and it felt like no one gave a S. They criticized the things I did as an idiot kid." Back then, those lines were often brushed off as teenage rebellion or just mistakes of a young star. But now, with everything that's come out about the people around him and the pressures he faced, it feels more like a heartbreaking cry for help, a glimpse into how lost and alone he really was during those years. The truth is, when the legal trouble started surrounding Diddy, and he even spent some time behind bars, things for Justin seemed to take a serious toll. Fans noticed he began struggling again, the old wounds reopening. Reports say he started having breakdowns, reliving the trauma of his early years. To numb the pain, he turned back to substances, and his behavior became erratic again. There were moments where people close to him, including his wife Haley, were really worried. She's spoken publicly about how tough it's been seeing him struggle with the weight of his past, while trying to maintain his life and career. All of this adds up to a picture that's way more complicated than the bad boy headlines or the teen rebel label Justin was given back in 2014. It shows a young man who was deeply affected by what happened around him, and who's still working through the fallout even now. And that makes everything we're hearing now about those early years even more important to understand. According to a recent report from Us Weekly, someone close to Justin shared that he's been in a really tough mental space lately. The source explained, "He has such a history with Diddy, and with all these allegations coming out, it's been really hard for him to process everything." It sounds like the whole situation has stirred up a lot of difficult feelings for Justin, reopening old wounds he's been carrying for years. But despite all the stress and anxiety, the source says Justin's been trying to focus on the positive, especially his role as a new dad. Since welcoming his son Jack with wife Haley in August, the joy of fatherhood has become a bright spot in his life. His happiness being a dad has definitely outweighed the anxiety he's felt about Diddy and everything going on, the insider shared. And he's not just calling out Puff, he's also done with all the other people that were involved in one way or another. Fan theories have been going wild ever since Justin Bieber started trimming down the list of people he follows on Instagram. Just recently, he unfollowed some big names from his inner circle, his former manager Scooter Braun, along with team members Allison Kay, Ryan Good, Pooh Bear, and Kenny Hamilton. But now, the biggest surprise, Justin has also unfollowed his former mentor, Usher. Fans were quick to connect the dots, wondering if this move was tied to P. Diddy and all the recent drama. One person on X pointed out, "Didn't Usher bring Justin Bieber to those Diddy parties when he was underage?" If that's true, then Justin definitely has every reason to unfollow him. Others admitted they're genuinely puzzled and concerned. One wrote, "I know I probably shouldn't be this invested, but Justin unfollowing Usher honestly baffles me. It makes me even more worried about what actually went down back then. Not everyone remembers how close they used to be, but something's definitely up." Now, there's definitely something fishy here. They were like father and son. This sudden distance feels really strange. Even other people are talking about it now. Former Diddy associate Frederick Watson, who goes by Freddie P in the music world, recently sat down for an interview on the art of dialogue. The video dropped on YouTube on November 7th, and Freddie P didn't hold back. He opened up about the lasting influence Sean Combs has had on Justin Bieber's life. Having worked closely with Diddy, Freddie P shared some behind-the-scenes insight into how deeply involved Combs was with Justin during those early, formative years. The conversation shed light on the complex relationship between the rapper and the young pop star, one that still seems to ripple through Justin's life today. Puff got S that get you effed up. Puff got S that can get you sent to the hospital. Ask Jamie Foxx. Ask Justin. You see Justin's whole face drop? I'm talking about Two-Face. It took him a while. That man, Bieber, is terrified of that boy, Diddy. Since then, Watson noted, Freddie P, who used to be part of Da Band, admitted he wasn't really a fan of Justin back in the day. He even called him racist at one point. But over time, his opinion changed. He now respects Justin's journey and growth. Freddie P also gave props to how much quieter and more grounded Justin has become, showing a side of him that a lot of people might not have seen before. Back in June 2022, Justin Bieber opened up about being diagnosed with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, a rare neurological condition that caused partial paralysis on the right side of his face. It was a tough time for him, but thankfully, he's since made a recovery. In a recent interview on The Art of Dialogue, Freddie P dropped a surprising hint that Sean Combs might somehow be connected to Justin's health struggles. Freddie suggested that the so-called Diddy pills could have played a role not just in Justin's facial paralysis, but also in Jamie Foxx's medical emergency earlier in 2023. It's a pretty serious claim that's got people talking.
There was a time where I was sipping lean, I was popping pills, I was doing Molly, shrooms, everything, and it was just an escape for me. You have all these people around me just kind of hanging on, wanting stuff from me, knowing that I was living this lifestyle that they also wanted to live.
And as per JB, it's not just Puffy. Clive Davis, who used to be Diddy's mentor, is also involved in these sick games, and so is Will Smith. So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you liked this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.